Hello, my name is Carla Rebernak. I am a soil scientist in Idaho Falls, Idaho, and I'm going to talk about this modeling project is in central Idaho, and the goal is to make a raster product to help accelerate mapping and meet the 2026 initiative, which is to have all lands mapped. So it's on the Challis National Forest. It is very mountainous terrain with diverse ecological sites from wet meadows and riparian areas to mountain mahogany and low sage on the south slopes, Doug fir and subalpine in the higher elevations and white bark at the highest. The project covers 1.6 million acres. We have a stack of 75 covariates and 1,600 pedons gathered while mapping traditionally. It uses a random forest script with recursive feature elimination and cross-validation. Back on schedule here. Okay, the area is large, so we knew we didn't have enough data to model all the classes we wanted. We had to subset somehow. So our first stratification was by landform because this help narrow the soil forming processes and parent materials. So here's the landform class we modeled on the left. The classes are on the left, and many iterations have yielded this raster on the right, which we're very pleased with because it fit the geomorphic concepts that we had observed while doing the field work. So then we moved on to building the models within each landform. And this is where we decided to use our abiotic ecological site key to subset classes of similar soils that occur together and express similar plant communities. And then we just kept drilling down to model as many classes within each subset as the data would support. So within the mountain slopes, we modeled these 8 classes in green of abiotic properties. So here's the raster for that model with some parent material breaks to help make sense of it. Calcareous soils in light green are mostly in the limestone and on south-facing aspects, which made sense. The lower sloping sites like loamy and skeletal in the blue and purple are in the northwest part of this frame, which does in fact have less relief. Our shallow sites in red were showing up on ridges and south aspects, regardless of the lithology. And our steep skeletal in dark green has the largest area, which makes sense for a mountainous terrain. So this slide shows our polygon lines overlain, which by no means is a metric for anything in digital soil mapping, but for the soil scientists who mapped it, me, I was curious to see the disaggregation of our map units into the soil components represented by pixels. So interestingly, the top 6 covariates used in this model were 2 different vegetation indexes calculated from spectral data and 4 different terrain derivatives calculated from the elevation data. And just as our abiotic key and LRU matrix would assign an ecological site, we then modeled 3 climatic subset classes within each abiotic class. So those are shown here in yellow. Here's the raster for steep skeletal class with the eutectic moisture regimes showing up correctly in blue in the highest elevations and the north aspects. Our frigid temperature regimes are in pink on those south aspects and lower elevations. And then the middle ground between is the xeric cryoc. And again, this fit our polygon data really well. So we moved on to defining components within these classes. The plan is to fully populate map units in the NASA's database with property data, just as a traditional map unit would have. Here's a simplified representation of how the steep skeletal classes of the mountain slope landforms would be populated. Some of the challenges this project faces, as most modeling projects do, just having enough data in every class is difficult. We have lots of data in some classes, not enough in others, and some of those are really important, so we're working through other methods of modeling for those, meeting accuracy standards, and of course balancing with the rest of the workload. So the next steps are to complete the models for all the landforms, abiotic properties, and climatic subsets. The class map here shows everything we've been able to model thus far and meet accuracy standards for, except for the 2 orange classes. Those didn't model well with random forest, so we're looking at some logistic regression. I think maybe this slide isn't advancing. Okay. We did think those were too unique to drop. So as I said, we're going to work on some other methods for modeling those. So once all these classes are complete, we'll assemble them all together, then hopefully predict and validate these models in adjacent NotCom areas to help meet the 2026 initiative. Thank you.